Good morning, Celaine.
Good morning.
This is episode 8 of This Might Be Legal. And
Yeah.
today you agreed to come and discuss about AI.
Mm-hmm.
And AI just broke the business model of law firms.
That's what we'll be discussing today. So thank you for having me again. This is actually quite nice. I enjoy being your resident guest. Let's just say that.
Permanent resident guest.
The permanent resident guest of this podcast. So today we will be taking an even more deep dive into the AI. It's like we're doing a series now about deep dive into AI. So today is going to be mostly about how the AI has infiltrated and actually broke the business model of law firms.
Let's hope.
Shall we delve right in?
Yes.
Great. All right. So let's start with this. Has AI, in your opinion, has AI actually broken the business model of law firms, or is this an exaggeration?
So I think it has a potential to. A lot of law firm has not yet adopted it.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger law firm did, and it has done half of the job.
So if you take the law firms in general, you're saying that like it's mostly the bigger law firms who are adapting to it, and rather than the smaller law firms.
Yeah, because what happened originally, like three years ago when it all started, bigger law firm had the budget for that.
Mm-hmm.
So they have in-house IT people, project managers. And so they integrated AI into their own system.
Mm-hmm.
It had a cost to it. So they were the one just starting with it, but it allowed them to actually work a bit faster. Yes.
Do you think that this is the first time that there's ever been such a big break in the law industry? Or is it history repeating itself?
No, I think typing machine was one of them as well.
Okay. And then there was perhaps the breaking of the internet as well?
Yeah, maybe internet as well. When I was a trainee, we had one computer for 2 trainees.
Just one?
Yes.
You used to share it?
You had to wait until your colleague was finished.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yes.
That's so different from how we did it. We also went, as in law school specifically, the one thing that I saw is that the difference between taking notes, like handwritten notes during the lectures, to everyone having a laptop during lectures as well.
I think the turn into the legal industry would have been probably typing machine. But then obviously Office Word. Because before you would type everything, if there would be a typo, you have to almost restart retyping everything.
Of course.
So Office Word would allow you to correct your document, and so you would gain some time. Then I would say automated legal research, online research, rather than going to books and going book by book.
Mm-hmm.
And now, but the biggest one is for sure AI.
That's I find it very interesting because it's like history is kind of repeating itself, but in different ways, and we just have to adapt to it. So legal AI went from niche to everywhere, basically. What has changed and why now?
Well, it started slowly with machine learning, IBM Watson, during COVID time, a bit pre-COVID time. And what has changed now is the fundamental models, the LLMs, right? Able to write. So understanding what you're saying, and I'm not going to the technology, but being able to actually reproduce or produce an answer to it. And so that is something that has changed. And why now? It's because it has been made available now, like probably in 2022, 2021. 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's progressing very fast. So the models are becoming better and better. But the model in itself, in themselves, because several of them are not sufficient, right? So to go for a concrete AI, a legal AI solution, legal work requires precision.
Yep.
Legal work does not allow hallucination, right?
Yeah.
So you need to top up these models with other technologies to make sure that they become precise.
Yeah. So on that topic, actually, recently, so the more we experiment with AI and the more it's accessible, like to everyone almost, we keep on hearing these days about autopilots and copilots. So most tools today are copilots and they assist lawyers. Laine is slightly different because Laine is an autopilot. What's the real difference between co-pilots and autopilots?
So, you like the Avengers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine Iron Man.
Okay.
And is how do you call that? The shield or
Yeah.
is armor?
Armor.
Armor. So it's a powerful one, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you would put a soldier that is a good soldier, it would probably become better.
Okay.
Okay. So it will become more powerful. It will have all these features and tools, and it will be able to win a war, probably. If you put a bad soldier, meaning someone that doesn't think well, doesn't have a strategy, what will happen if you put him into that armor?
He will fail.
Well, actually, he would probably shoot and everything, but it would probably still not have the strategy still not have, so. And so the co-pilot and autopilot is a little bit this. It's and a co-pilot is something that helps you to work faster, but it really relies on you being able to prompt correctly or to instruct correctly. That means that for you to instruct correctly, you need to be technically a good lawyer. And what is being a good lawyer? Being a good lawyer is of course having a way of thinking, having a legal thinking, so how to solve it. But it's also being able to have experience, right? So the law does not does everything. The experience, how people react, who you have in front of you, and so the experience over your career of sin that you've seen, how they resulted, court decision, how people, every deals you've been doing accumulates in your experience, which makes you that when a new client comes with something, you know already in advance what would work better than what would not work better. And so with a co-pilot, that it doesn't really help you on this, right? Being a good lawyer is also something a bit more personal, which then AI cannot necessarily do, is knowing whom you have in front of you, understanding who is in front of you, what is the personality of that individual, how do they react, and feeling the room, right? That AI cannot do, but the autopilot is something where the experience and the end result is already integrated in there. That means that instead of relying necessarily only on the lawyer to prompt correctly, it will guide you through your prompt and make you think. So that means that even a junior lawyer will feel as if it would be a senior lawyer because it's guided through the whole process. And that's what, with Laine, we wanted to develop, right? So not having a tool that makes lawyer work faster, but a tool that makes the end product, the end result much better, and having lawyers becoming quality controller at the end, rather than people prompting their knowledge.
So what we're saying here is that, so the main difference between co-pilots and autopilots is that one of them will help you get there, but you need to know exactly where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, then you might end up somewhere completely different. Whereas with an autopilot, it's giving you step by step exactly where you're going. It knows where you're going, it takes your hand, and it's like, no, we have to go this way rather than the other way.
So imagine ChatGPT. Imagine you would not be a lawyer and you want to do a contract.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah. Just go and prompt it like I need
so you
to
have to prompt, right? So it's a passive assistant, right? So to some extent, it's like your passive assistant, whom you can instruct. If you instruct that passive assistant correctly, it will do a correct contract. If you don't, then the end result will be the result of, or the image of what you've instructed.
Yeah.
Right? So, however, if you are guided through the process and say, okay, what you want to do, and then there's a series of questions being asked to you, to whom that makes you reflect and to whom you have to answer, then it's more difficult to actually not get a good answer. So as if your assistant will actually know more than you and will actually guide you, because ultimately you're the one filling the room.
Yeah.
You're the one knowing the clients, and you might have that little touch that AI cannot do. So it's an autopilot is really a tango. It's you're being guided through your dance,
Okay.
but you bring the final grace to the end result of the.
Okay. You just mentioned passive. We've also heard of like passive versus active. What does this mean for the end user?
So the same thing. So passive assistant is you have an assistant, and then she's waiting for you to instruct her. So if you instruct her to do something, she will do it, right? If you instruct her to do something wrongly, she will do it wrongly. If you instruct her to do something correctly, she will do it correctly. So that's a junior assistant, right? Now we all have one in our law firm, a very experienced, usually grumpy, older assistant that that knows exactly what and then whenever you're going to tell her to do something and she knows it's wrong, she's going to tell you, hey man, that's not going to work.
That's not going to work.
And so that becomes more active, and that's more valuable, because then you feel more trusted. Someone knows the system, right? And so Laine has been, to some extent, trained by senior lawyer, as to what the end product needs to look like.
Do you think that the co-pilot model is enough, or are they already outdated? Has technology improved so far as to say that like the autopilots are now overriding the co-pilots?
Oh, I think that most of the models are copilot. Some, very few have gone into autopilot, and I think autopilot will override copilot. Yes, I don't think that there is. I don't see anything else above autopilot rather than self-pilot, right? I mean, where it will be the machine doing everything, but that doesn't work, for the legal industry. You need to have a human touch.
Yeah.
You're not here to replace lawyers. There is unauthorized practice of law. So starting having modules who will actually produce legal work will anyway be, by itself, without a lawyer or a licensed lawyer, would technically be a law firm. So there's no legal framework for a robot law firm, you know. And I'm not sure that we are yet ready to trust.
Go. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, there is now self-driving cars, right?
And not just that. Like recently also in China, there was a race. There was a marathon or something, and they actually had the robots run the race as well. But I also don't believe that we will get to a point where humans will trust machines 100%. I don't...
Look, no, it may happen, right? Imagine
robots specifically.
Imagine like surgery. You never want to be the first one, but imagine that there's like 500,000 person that been, got a surgery and it works perfectly well, and it's proven now, and it's much cheaper. A lot of people would go for it. So, but we're not ready, and the legal regulatory framework does not allow that anyway. So autopilot is really there for a while. We'll see in the future what happens.
Okay, so let's say that everyone has access to the same AI. How come is it that not everyone gets the same legal quality?
So, well, it depends on which AI tool.
Which AI, of course,
There's a number of one. But, of course, it's the same thing that everybody can... If everybody would have access to a lawyer, would they all get the same quality, And it depends on how your AI or your machine has been coded and trained, and not only the AI trained. I don't really like saying that because it looks like a fundamental model, but when you train a AI, a legal tech solution, right? It's more than using a fundamental model like Claude does, right?
Yeah.
You need to actually train and code agents, agentic, which. And if you code them well, then you get a good, very good end result. So I suspect I suspect it depends on your legal team and it depends on your coding team,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's the same principle as why do you choose one law firm instead of the other, right? So it's like, why do you go with Dominique rather than going with John? Like,
So we see that now with difference between Anthropic and GPT and Gemini. Some are better at doing drafting. Some are better for voice recognition. Some are better for graphic design. Some are better for. So they all have their strengths, right?
Okay, now we move a little bit to the competitive landscape. So some companies are building AI-powered law firms that deliver fixed-fee legal services with minimal human involvement as possible. Why did you not take that route when it comes to Laine?
So I think we've mentioned that 3 or 4 times already, but there is something that never worked in the current processes and system. It's like clients want to think faster.
Yeah.
And they're happy to go and see specialists, but they don't want to be hammered with fees. And of course, the whole process of onboarding of law firm is very sometimes lengthy and heavy. And sometimes you're in a rush, right? So, and lawyers, they want to actually, of course, make money for the risk they take and the heaviness of running a law firm. Training people, paying these really expensive on the Fifth Avenue in New York offices, and all of those things. So they need to margin a minimum. The highest the risk, the more the margin, right? So, and of course, clients willing to pay cheaper and lawyers willing to marge more is something that seems impossible. And so, of course, the model of the co-pilot, which is maybe you're going to discuss about that, but Harvey and Negora, they are solving one part of the equation, which is they make lawyers work faster.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really yet impact the client, right? It allows more margin. Not sure that is a faster delivery or not.
Yeah.
Some other model, like in New York, Crosby, which is a specialized law firm, have integrated an autopilot for themselves, right? So you send them the documents through Slack or WhatsApp, and then they review it through their autopilot. There's a lawyer that do a final proofreading, he's come back, flat fee, much cheaper, much faster. And it allows actually lawyers to work on more files, right? So they don't have to spend so much time to what takes time, gather the facts, prepare the file, do the initial legal research, do the initial drafting, realigning the documents. So that is being done by the machine. So Laine is a multitude of Crosby. So actually we allow every law firm to be a Crosby model. That's basically what it is. So it's a white labeling of a Crosby model.
Okay. So tools like, for example, like Claude, like Harvey and Legora, they're becoming a little bit more powerful. Claude specifically. If accessibility is the goal, why haven't they fully disrupted the legal industry yet?
Harvey and Legora, they have actually focused on large law firm only. So the top magic cycle law firm, right? And because the model, especially Harvey, was IT integration. I think they have changed slightly the model now. And Legora as well, right? It's easier to go target a bigger account with where you will make more money, right? So rather than going to a solo practitioners where they're going to take only one license. They don't serve those one solo practitioners, right? The model is not made for few lawyers. They need to have a minimum number of, I think, 25 or lawyers taking the service. And so that's the first reason why it has not been completely disrupted, because it was the service was only accessible to
the selected few.
The selected few. In relation to Claude, of course, is more like a solo funnel for yourself. There's one or two questions that I'm asking myself about unauthorized practice of law, because I think they're going to get sued at some point by the Bar Association, because it's open to everybody. You don't need to be a lawyer to use it. You don't need to be an in-house counsel. a housewife at home can start using and do legal work for herself. So it seems to me, and it does legal reasoning, you know. So when you look at the legal case of LegalZoom and or Rocket Lawyer as well, you know, which were pure templating, right? Really fixed deterministic templating. They got really annoyed by the Bar Association, right, in a number of states in the US. And so when you look at Claude, what you can do, which really puts the facts next to the legal commitment, and is able to produce a contract, not of great quality, let's be honest. But I think that would be problematic. Why law firm did not use Claude more? It's a problem of confidentiality. You know, Claude is using a technology which is a fundamental model. So whatever you input there, even though they promise you by contract that it might not be used, you never know. And lawyers, in-house counsel, they have a duty of confidentiality for their own data or for the data of their clients. So it's a criminal matter to breach that confidentiality. So as a lawyer, I would be extremely careful not to deploy Claude on my own law firm.
No, it's very interesting because it's I feel like with LLMs, like for example, like Claude and like ChatGPT as well, they use a lot of fancy words because they're language models as well, right? So it looks like a lot of fluff. We've all received these contracts where it looks like a lot of fluff. It looks like it says something, but in reality it doesn't. It just had very good English. So I feel like that's something that a lot of people need to be careful of, because if your contract looks like it's great and because it has these very heavy wordy clauses in them, but then in reality, in essence, it actually doesn't say anything, then
look, you're not becoming a good lawyer by the quantity of documents you've read.
Yes.
You become a good lawyer because of the methodology of work you have.
Yeah.
And of course, we've spoke about experience. You need to see a lot of things, but if you take a junior lawyer and you will give her 500 templates of previous documents you've done, imagine a loan agreement, and ask that junior lawyer to actually redo one, you will get a patchwork of things. It will look like a contract. It will, from far, you say, okay, well, there are clauses and stuff. You know, from a formatting standpoint, it looks like a contract. It's not so great. If you would give, however, to that junior associate or trainee a methodology of how to get there, you know, just first gather the parties, assess the parties, see what is the minimum legally binding. You know, for a loan agreement, you want to have an amount, a currency, maybe an interest rate, maybe a repayment date, maybe payment in installments, right? And then you just take additional wishes that client wants to have, a security or maybe a conversion or maybe whatever it could be. You place them in that order in the contract. Then make sure that if you have a defined term, that defined terms goes into a definition sections. And the definition section needs to be organized this way in alphabetic orders. And you give her a methodology of work and she follows that one. The end result, at least as a partner, when you have to actually review the work, I would prefer to review the work of the second one than the first one. The first one, I have to redo everything. So when I use Claude, I've tried, you know, of course, because of Laine, we've tried some competitors as well. But I was really not impressed by the end quality of it. So it was able to do a convertible loan where the borrower would be a physical person. So you can try to convert shares of a physical person. So and it doesn't draw your attention, right? It's wrong, and that is basically because it's probably taking templates and models of loan agreements. Do not see the problem. So yes, it looks impressive by the fact that it asks you a question, but the legal industry doesn't work by quantity. You know, it's where the data quality becomes oil and gas, you know, of the car, you know, the legal industry works by quality. And the quality is only gained by methodology. So fundamental models only are not going to work. They're going to hallucinate. They're going to sometimes come to a good result. I mean, I'm not saying that it's always crap, but if you want to make sure that you get an autopilot with an end product that is top notch, you know, then you cannot only base yourself on fundamental model. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, because things they go well until something happens, right? So yeah.
Well, it might work for Copilot because then the Copilot, the end lawyers needs to actually it gives a first draft and then you go back to the old system where you manually adjust it or by instruction. But if you want the whole process to go up to the end and just have to have final proofreading as an autopilot, you cannot just base yourself on a legal plugin of Claude. It doesn't work.
No, I tend to agree with you there. So, okay, this is a tricky one. Are lawyers simply slow to adopt new technology, or is there a deeper reason?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Lawyers are great people.
Yes, the best.
No, they are great people. But they are not known to be risk taker.
That's true.
And they are not known to be creative people. I mean, some of them, they tend to be a bit known to be doing their job really well. By that is sometimes overprotecting their client, being considered as deal breaker. That is often what you hear from client. So, lawyers are, of course, you have always the exception, right? But most of the lawyers are focused into their own work. And they are not IT people. So worse than all is like they're very busy with the work because the current methodology of work requires a lot of attention and a lot of work. So they don't have so much time to actually would take the time to see something else. So as long as they have clients coming in and they have to process the work, they would not probably see the problem. So if the solution comes and requires a lot of IT integration, unless you're a big firm and you have non-lawyers, member of your firm doing that for you, I'm not sure they will move so much. And that's where smaller firm might become as a disadvantage towards bigger firm. And that's what we've tried to address with Laine, right? So to make it just an easy registration, and in 5 minutes you can start using it. The same idea that Steve Jobs had, right? So using complex computer and making at that time a beautiful computer, easy to use. Yeah. And that was his main motto. I'm not sure he has developed something that was working so much better, but it was working so much easier than the other one with a nice design. So that's what Laine is doing. It's an autopilot made very easy to use there's no implementation basically. So you just register and then you can start using it in a very efficient way.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's also for lawyers, like there's an element of trust. We've briefly touched upon it on previous episodes as well. There's an element of trust because at the end of the day, is in you have your name. Your name is on the line whenever you give advice and whenever you provide any agreements. Your name is on the line. Whether you work with a firm, your name is on the line with your partners. Whether you are a solo practitioner, your name is on the line because it's your name at the end of the day. So it's a bit hard, like you said, with Claude, for example. They will promise you that they will not use this data, but they will kind of still use it at the end of the day. So it's a bit hard for lawyers to be like, oh, I'm going to fully trust technology and everything. So
but look at WhatsApp, right? So and Meta, they tell you that they don't using your data
encrypted,
And I'm telling you that. So now that we have Laine, I have an Instagram account, right? So to check a little bit
news, what's happening,
whatever is happening, but also the account of Laine, right? So now on my algorithm, when I discuss something on WhatsApp, I start seeing things
it's
on Instagram.
insane,
and then it's promised that they don't use it, right? So there's a big amount of lie from those guys. So as a lawyer, lawyers are not risk takers. They will not. You can be disbarred from violating your professional secrecy, and knowing that may happen, you still using a providers that do not secure your data might be considered as negligence. So you have to be a bit careful on this.
And not to ring your praises as well, but like the fact that Laine is backed by lawyers, and you're a lawyer yourself, and you're the founder as well. All of these things were also taken into consideration before the building of Laine.
Actually, this was I think the second employee that we got at Laine was the data protection officer,
Yeah.
Celaine.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one that actually we hired immediately, how to protect the data.
Yeah.
Because there's no point of developing a solution if we cannot just
For
protect
sure.
data.
Yeah, for sure. No, so all of these things were actually taken into consideration already, which is something that should put lawyers' mind a little bit more at rest, and they should be a little bit more open to adopting new technology like Laine. So, okay, my next question is, what happens when legal quality stops depending on lawyer seniority? What do you think happens?
What happens when legal quality stops depending on lawyer seniority?
Yeah. So we're talking about within the same law firm, a junior associate and a partner can create the same contract with the same precision, let's say.
I would say it's more work for the end partner. So if the quality stops at some point, then someone needs to readdress it.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot let it go and let it go, you might lose your client or you might face liabilities, right? So it's difficult to let a document go out if it's not of quality.
Mm-hmm.
So if the quality stops at some point, you have to address it.
But what if they're both of the same good quality? That's what I mean. So what if your junior associate can create a contract that's just as good as a partner can? What would that mean for law firms?
Then that means you gain a lot of time, and that means you can onboard more clients, and that means you can probably also reduce your fees.
Oh, that's good.
Because what takes time, what is incorporated into a lawyer fee estimate is the time of your people being able to all together as a chain of work produce something. So, and you take into account the fact that you will have to review the work of your junior associate. If that is no longer the case, then you don't spend that time. Then you just charge for the value of your work, which is then a big advantage for the end client. So if by the system then improve automatically or standardize the quality of work to a high quality of every person that is working in that firm, then lawyers will march better, clients will pay less.
Mm-hmm. With that thought, you just mentioned that law firms might lower their prices in general. Do you think that a law firm can still justify charging the same prices if AI is now doing most of the work?
Look, the price also depends on the branding, depends on whom you want to have. The name of the lawyer behind it might be of significance. Maybe that brand, Hermes, is more expensive than Zara.
Fair.
Maybe or maybe not, it makes a different impression when you have a handbag from Hermes or Zara when you enter a restaurant, But so pricing is not a standardized pricing. It depends on a number of criteria. But of course, for sure, the price also depends on what clients are ready to pay for it. So I'm not sure that the client would be ready to pay the price of a Hermes bag for a Zara bag, because the brand is not reflecting the quality of it. But for sure that if clients realize that for the same quality, for documents who does not necessarily need a branding, they get the exact same quality because of a new system, because of new technologies, and they can get it for cheaper. I mean, you really need to love your lawyer like so much to get, or find her, you fell in love and you want to marry her, and then you don't want to dispute any invoice. But I don't see who. Would you? No, you're not. Right? So we would all then says, okay, well then, if for the same price we can get more work done, then that is what it is, right? So it's always a question about quality versus
quantity.
No, quality versus pricing. And
pricing,
so if for the same quality you can get a lower price and then you can get more work done and then to do. So I do believe that generally speaking, the pricing of the legal work will go down significantly.
In general, as an industry.
In general, as an industry, and it will start by the transactional work, and it will continue with the litigation work. And of course now technology has tackled a bit less litigation work because it's more factual. It's very is even less standardized. Every dispute is different, and it's like mainly facts, so nothing is really standardized in there.
Yeah.
But there are some modules, and at Laine we have one which will help a lot on pre-litigation analysis, which will allow you to go actually much quicker. So I do. It will compress a little bit the pricing here. And again, it's not that lawyers will have to reduce their hourly rate. It's that they will need less hours to actually reach the same point, so they can onboard more clients. The question is it worrying? Are more people going to use legal services? That's the question. It's like, will you be able to fill your empty time because you've been able to produce a work in a shorter period of time, and then you have available hours? What do you do with those hours? And so the question is, are more people going to come and see lawyers?
Yeah. Having said that, where do you think we should draw the line? Which legal work do you think should never be automated?
I think no legal work should be completely automated. They should always have a final human judgment at the end. But all legal work needs to have a preliminary automation to produce the legal work. So that's the answer.
Yeah. It's a very good answer. Yeah. It's a very good answer. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly jump back towards Laine. So Laine, we're talking now Laine as a product, the quality floor. So if you had to summarize the main differences between Laine and everything else that's on the market today in one sentence, what would it be? Okay, I'll give you more than one sentence. I think you're gonna need more than one sentence.
Autopilot. That's for sure. Able to draft from scratch. So that means not only review documents and redraft them or adjust them, but being able to take a case and draft from scratch very precisely. That is what took us a year and a half to actually code. That one was the drafting module was a complex one, but we got amazing result.
Yeah.
And easiness of use. It's very easy to actually use Laine.
It's very user friendly.
So I give you an example of sometimes legal profession, they want to have playbooks, to ease their work. Like instead of reprompting each time what they want, they will standardize what is the minimum requirement to review a document. And so instead of doing that manually, Laine actually, it's very easy to engage into a conversation with you and then ask you what you want to actually get. And so, and you can answer in a disorganized manner, and it reorganizes your thought and it put it together. So then your playbook is being built by itself. So it's easy to use, right? So you don't need to be someone with high IT knowledge. You don't need to be someone with so much experience. You will be able to build your law firm with high quality outcome if you use Laine.
So we mentioned autopilot. We also mentioned the guidance that Laine actually gives you. It prepares your own playbook, and it basically tells you what you don't know.
It draws your attention to.
It draws your attention to what you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So most AI tools just respond when you ask. Laine is more proactive, like we were just saying. What does that actually look like in real life? So could you just give me an example of what we're saying where it actually tells you?
So for instance, when I review documents now, it's still not a feature that we have released, but I'm already using it. I need to review a document, a contract. So how did I do that 3 years ago? I would call an associate in my office. I would try to say, well, look, I've spoken to the client wants this and that, and be careful, that contract is this and that and that. The associate would go back in his office, try to understand the case, read through the whole documents one more time, try to understand my instruction, maybe come back and ask questions again, right, to understand what I was saying, know that he has actually went into details, or maybe ask further questions. Then go back, then probably have a Pilates class. They all do Pilates now. If you're a lawyer and you don't do Pilates, it seems to be part of what you have to do. And then probably come back next day or the day after with the end product. And then by that time, I'm quite busy. I already have other things to do, so I don't have necessarily time. So now with Laine, it's easy. I have a call with a client. I have the documents in our editor, which is not a Word editor. It's for the Laine native documents. It's a special editor. I just instruct Laine. The same thing I would instruct my associate. Laine immediately enter into conversation with me to ask further questions about my instructions. I just answer. It takes me literally 10 minutes. I get the next draft immediately done. So that is something that is so useful. So instead of spending 4 hours overall, me, the associates, and charging at $500 per hour, I spend 10 minutes. I'm not going to charge $50. Yeah. I'm still going to charge probably $500, but it's like 4 times cheaper for the client, and I quicker. March so much better. And so it's very powerful. Yeah.
And it's also quicker for the client.
And the client gets it immediately. So it's like we hang up the phone, in 10 minutes he gets the new draft.
Yeah, that's.
So I think the profession should go from charging by the hour to charging for the value of your work. How organized you are, how fast you are, how the end result, how good it is, and that's why clients should be ready to pay, the value they see in you.
Yeah, no, that's actually very true. So, Laine isn't just a tool. I would assume that you'll also agree. It's also a quality controller. What does this mean for the end user?
It means that you can trust it more, because at the end of the day, when you have the production that has been done, automated, but still reviewed by a human lawyer, then you have a 4 eyes principle. And actually you have a 6 eyes principle with Laine, because you have the drafting tool, then you have the validators, and then you have the human eyes. And so, which goes much quicker. So it gives trust to the client.
Okay, so legal work varies a lot by country, practice, experience level. How does Laine ensure that the quality is kept consistent across all?
Oh, so that is an easy one. The legal methodology and the legal technique of getting a product is the same. Of course, laws are different.
Yeah.
But the way you have to think and your methodology of work to get there is the same. So it's not going to change from one jurisdiction to the other. What is changing is, of course, redirecting the law oracle to the right direction, so that you capture for the legal research the correct legislation, the correct court precedents, the correct interpretation of the law that you need to have. And so at the end, the quality of the output will be very similar from one jurisdiction to the other.
Okay. And what can Laine do that your typical Copilot can't? In general, what can Laine do that a typical AI Copilot cannot do? Could never get there.
It can produce documents from scratch. It can guide you through the production of the documents that you start on Laine.
Okay. All right. So I have my final questions for you today. 5 years from now, what does the legal industry look like if Laine is the right option?
So, of course, we've been discussing about the co-pilot versus autopilot. But there's one thing that we haven't discussed that Laine does. Laine is the second leg of Laine. It's not only a legal tool, it's an infrastructure, right? So you use Laine and you not only as a funnel for your own firm or for your own company, like competitors are doing, right? So where you just upload the solution and you use it, but as soon as you have to communicate with a counterparty or with someone else, you have to actually use the previous tools, which are emails or Word and everything. So you send it through the original channel to them. Laine is a network. So whoever is connected to Laine can connect to another portal.
Okay.
So lawyers can connect to lawyers, lawyers can connect to clients, lawyers can connect to their in-house legal team, and everybody's intra-connected by having IDs and it's highly protected, but you're able then to produce a first document, send it through Laine to a Laine participant, and then the versioning is being kept, and then it will never leave the Laine network. If you have a counterparty that is not a Laine participant, then you can actually use a guest link.
Okay.
You would send a link to that participant, he will click on it, and he will have a temporary session of Laine opening.
Okay.
And he will be able to use that technology. So the idea is to be able to create an infrastructure where all the legal work will transition from parties into that secured framework, where you don't have to worry anymore about the first draft, where you don't have to worry anymore about formatting, where you don't have to worry anymore about readjusting terms.
Yeah.
It's being done automatically, where you are only the quality controller of the end product, where versioning is always there, where you can create parameters of context, amongst a number of documents that you can do, where you can join forces, because of this network, Laine is a marketplace, right? So you can decide as a lawyer to be visible for others on the Laine infrastructures or not. And that means that we, for instance, at the firm, we're not a large firm, we're a medium-sized firm, but sometimes we cannot take on very large mandates because of the lack of associates. But with Laine, you're able to actually join forces with smaller law firms, and they can syndicate, create a joint workspace on the Laine infrastructures, a joint works for a specific case, and work on larger mandates. So smaller law firm will be able to compete against bigger law firm. And so that's basically what it is, creating a network, a spider net for the legal industry, where all the legal work will transition. And of course, which will then allow us, and that is music of the futures for 2027, but the team is already working on it, is making Laine be an arbitration center at the end also. So where you'll be able to not only create, review, draft, analyze, but also resolve matters if there is a dispute. And that's, I'm not saying much more on that, but that's going to be a beautiful
exciting
future.
news. Yeah, exciting news. And everything is done on the Laine platform without
everything will be done on the platform.
Having to go back and forth, and then you got distracted because you received a new email, and then suddenly you're on a new task. It's it's quite good, if I had to say so myself. Okay, so my final question to you is, what's the one thing you'd want a listener, whether they're a lawyer, an investor, or someone in legal tech, for example, to take away from this conversation?
Look, they'll be surrounded by initiative of legal tech. And of course, there's a lot of people trying to launch here and there small products for usually just tackling one small thing. As a lawyer, you want to have one solution for all that works. Sometimes when you have a broad solution, by willing to tackle everything, you're good at nothing.
Yeah.
But so you have to be able to tackle everything and be good at everything. And that's what we're doing. So I would be happy if they just test it and actually it's easy to test. So they can see a demo, or they can come and speak with us, or they just can go online and register.
And we'll also put the link somewhere so that they can access and contact us. Okay, so that's all the questions that I have for you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Anytime.